Yeah, but we know we're playing against good players every week in this league, so we know we have to be at our best to compete and get points. And we weren't at our best first half, so the first half's the bit that upset me the most, if I'm honest. I know we conceded the goal second half, but there was a different attitude to us. First half wasn't good enough.
Do you think John Fleck might have got away with one?
Well, so I'm being told, but I've not seen it. I'm trusting that the officials have done the job, VAR, that there's no hiding place now on the football pitches. There's none at all. There's cameras everywhere. So I see now, I don't know if there was contact. Was there contact? Was there not? But it's obviously, if there was, it's been deemed accidental or unintentional. And if there wasn't, then I'm unsure about it.
We've been told that Gareth Bale's not at his best, but you disagree with that, I guess?
Yeah, listen, the goals from Spurs' point of view, they'll probably be really pleased with them. But from our point of view, we're not. The first one is so passive from our point of view, and then we leave his running the box. Second one's a counter from our corner. We've got bodies back. Third one's a giveaway again in a bad area. So, yeah, you could talk about his finishing. We know what a top player he is, world-class player. But we cannot afford to give those types of players those opportunities. So, as I said before, we have to be at our very best to compete.
Thanks.
Jim from RCB.
Hi, Paul. Paul, is that very much demoralising? Is that the tune I'm getting from you in terms of that sort of performance? Or how can you sort of, your players, what you mentioned about being flat in the first half, is there any way you can sort of pin that on them, or did you feel you were in good nick arriving here to Spurs?
Well, we just had a win and a good week's training. So from that respect, that's fine. But it's not demoralising, it's anger. It's anger, that first half performance. I don't enjoy watching that, passive performance like that. When we came out the second half, it was a totally different attitude to our game. And that's the difference. It's an attitude, same players, it's a mentality and attitude. And as I say, if we'd have been in and approached the game in that way all the way through and got beat, sometimes you have to hold your hand up. If you bring your best and get beaten by a better team, sometimes fair enough. But the way we started the game, 1-0 down at half-time, and it's difficult to recover from starting in that way. So it did need a shake-up at half-time. It did need a change in mentality, a change in approach.
And Paul, lastly for me, do you expect more from the players now until the end of the season? Because most of them are fighting for their futures in terms of their club going forward next year, fighting whether they'll be in the plans, trying to make their attempt back into the Premier League. Do you expect those players to put their hands up and show that they want to be part of Sheffield United going forward for the remainder of games? Yeah, definitely, but more so for themselves as well. It's as I said before, it's been difficult. It's been difficult for everyone, but there's only one way to approach it, and that's get your head up, your chest out, and face it head on. And as I said, if you give your best, then fine, that's it. That's all you can do. The first half wasn't good enough.
Nath.
Oh, when you said about the attitude in the first half, what specific were you referring to? Why were you so unhappy with the way that they started that second half, that first half? Sorry.
We were on the back foot. We weren't on the front foot. You've seen enough of these players play, Nathan, that you know what they're capable of, and if they're really positive and aggressive. And we were passive without the ball. So their first goal, as I said, is a prime example of that. Was slow to get across, slow to put pressure on the ball, then leave a run. And there's only one thing going to happen against good players. You're going to concede goals. But with the ball, there wasn't the same energy. We didn't move the ball quick enough. So the turnover in possession when we won it back must have been 50, 60% of the time we lost the ball before we'd made two passes. So there wasn't enough energy for us to maintain possession, to drive them back. Second half, all that changed. And it was totally different. And we get done on the counter, which sort of gets their tails up again. And as I said, they'll be saying that their goals are great, moments of quality from their good players. but we're disappointed that we allowed them those opportunities, because when you're playing against players of that quality, you can't afford to give them anything.
Does the manner of the second half sort of collapse, does that highlight just how fragile this mentality is and sort of the biggest job facing the new manager right now when he comes in?
Yeah. So, collapse second half. We started well. The second goal takes it away. We're still there. The manner of the goals are poor. We were still chasing and pushing, which would expect us to do. But where we lost the ball was the key moments, and then they were very clinical. But as I say, there's a good honesty about that group. I'm not going to label that. The players know what I've said to them in there. One or two of the players, and between now and the end of the season, it has to be a team that's willing to fight. Forget anything else. It has to be a team that's willing to fight.
When you look at, you've had a few games with these players now and a few training sessions with them, you've worked closely with them. What would you say is the biggest issues that the new manager will have to address in trying to get this side back winning football matches again? Because it is a shadow of the team that we have been used to seeing over the years. Yeah,
it's took its toll. Of course it has on this last 12 months, 14 months since the first lockdown at the end of March. It's appeared different in terms of getting results. We've seen that, and then we've had a change in personnel and in this summer, and the new signings coming in after go and earn their place within the team and go past the players that were already there. So that's been an issue, and that's something that has to be addressed. The change in league is a big difference anyway. You know, we've just played against top world-class players there, and no disrespect, in the Championship, those players aren't going to be playing in there. So there's one difference straight away. But the biggest thing I think has been the length of time where it's just taking its toll on everyone, the staff, the players, the club, the fans. We need the fans back in there, another element. But as I said, it's pointless just praying and waiting for that Championship season to come. We've still got 4 games left in what is a fantastic league, and how we approach that is really important.
And just last one from me, might be too early to know, but any reaction from Basham and Berger from their outing today?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Obviously, it's not something that was planned in terms of Bash 90 minutes and Sander getting 45. But listen, it'll do them good between now and end of the season to be getting the minutes, of course. But I'm not going to be overly critical of those two having been out. Bash 5 weeks, but straight in playing 90 minutes. We know what we're going to get from him. And Sander being out a long period of time. Yeah, he's had his training now and his confidence is there in terms of his injury, but he's not going to be up to speed in terms of how he wants to perform and what everyone knows he's capable of until he's played a few more games.
Thanks, Paul. Take care, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.
Shieldsy. Sutty, do you want to have a go while Shieldsy sorts his unmute out again?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, hi, Paul. You say how things have taken its toll this season on the players. Ryan Brewster, is he one in particular who this is sort of weighing heavy on? I know he was one of the changes you made at half-time, but is it really weighing heavy on him, this?
Yeah, possibly. It's been a tough, but it'll be a good... Listen, he'll come out stronger from it. He understands the step up and the nature now of being a frontline striker in the Premier League. But he's working hard. You know, I'm not going to say anything other than he's putting his mind to it. He's working hard. I'm sure the ball will drop for him and he'll get his chances and get his goals. But he knows the only way out of it is to work hard, and that's a must. It's the same for anyone. No one's career is simple and plain sailing. Everyone has dips in form. Everyone has moments in the team, out of the team. But the one consistent thing that you have to be as a footballer is resilient enough to have a long career.
Do you think he's got that in him? He's still a young kid, isn't he? That's what I mean. Is he got
20, and he's not had this before, so he's gone at everything he's done. He's scored goals, won the World Cup with England in the youth teams, made Premier League debuts, had a big money move to a Premier League club. But until you've been playing and used to it and played 100 league games, you don't really know what it's about. You're still finding your feet, and Ryan's still finding his feet. But as I said, he'll continue to work hard to score the goals.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks, mate.
Shields, did you want another go?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that the first time that you say these sort of angles are?
Lost you, mate. I can't hear that.
We'll leave it. Thanks all.
What's going on here?
I've just heard it, mate.